This is very clean.
Hmm. It has to be. I cannot walk in filth.
You want me to take a seat here, or?
You may, or we may walk over there if you want. Doesn't matter.
Well, the couches are probably a little bit more appropriate. So hopefully this meeting will be seen as productive. Goal is to basically, what was it? Address the reports of the experiment at the honeypot trap, and I don't really need to go over casualty reports. Outside of the fact that I believe there's no survivors for your people that were there, unfortunately.
They know what they signed up for.
Yeah. In regards to your experiment, I could have probably picked a better placement part, but it was supposed to be. Actually, no. I'm not sure what your intended purpose is on the survivability rate of your experiment. How long it's supposed to last on the field, but it didn't last too long. I think it could be more optimal in a more open space, but
Where did you put it?
It was in the medical bay area. I had it placed upstairs where it could be monitored by your units. It basically was a good endpoint, and it was a chokehold. So it would either push the people back out into the train yard, where they would be met with more units, tiger units, or they would proceed further into the honeypot trap.
I see. It can do in most. It can. The hope is for it to do well in both closed off and open areas.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how many people are around it and how much they lay
Based
into
off of camera footage, it did a lot of close range damage. I believe at the very least, 2 people were affected by the gas.
Good.
It did hold him off for quite a while, a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's on me at that point. It died pretty abruptly outside. It definitely was an intimidation factor for them. They seemed very thrown off by it, so. Which I'm assuming, based off of its physicality, is kind of the goal. But yeah, outside of the concept of durability of it, its gas seems to be pretty potent, and it doesn't seem to have any issues in spreading past a point that is intended.
Its range is not too big, but it's not too small either.
Mm-hmm. Casualties are fairly moderate. That's when I had Riker come in and basically end the show, basically. We managed to filter out a couple waves of whispers before we finally got hollow people coming in, which was the goal. First bracket of people, their survivability time frame was about, I'd say, 40 minutes. Second frame, I'd say an hour and 10. And with the hollow members, it was an hour and 30 minutes. No casualties on their end, but they were pretty fucked up.
Understood.
And last bit of info that I find me personally interesting is Tin Man was there. And if you don't know who that is a former Tiger underling under Oz. Turncoat, basically. I believe they were feeding information to the Whispers with the intent of leaving.
Yes, I do not know who this Tin Man is.
Well, you have an idea. He has a metal mask that has kind of, I believe, emote-based expressions. His eyes kind of change to different gestures. Very green, very childish appearance. Baggy sweatshirt, cargo shorts, tennis shoes. He has a drone. Nothing was probably the only thing keeping them alive, honestly, during this entire thing. That was their boon.
Interesting.
But yeah, outside of that, I'd say mission success, although the results are not as optimal as I would like, but we can always do better. This was mainly so my units don't implode on themselves, because if morality gets too low, then that is, it's called mutiny. So, well, that's the last thing we need.
Good.
How has everything been on your end?
Troublesome. One of my head researchers has not checked in a while. And it is very unlike him.
To say that they found him, or?
More than likely. I have not gotten any reports, which is also an issue. It is fine. I have others.
I mean, is he potentially a security threat?
No.
With being taken?
There are only a few, and he is not one of them.
I see.
The other few I keep secure in other places.
Okay.
There was another issue. Not issue. Topic that I would have liked to bring up to you. I've thought about it before, but I did not act on it, as it had been very close since Bigby had passed. I do not think you want a cure for your condition. And nor do I have any means for a cure currently. But there is something that I have been working on in the background with others. It's mostly been handed off to the others, and I've checked in from time to time.
Okay.
It'll It's temporary. An extension. A good enough extension for you to do more. I know you've been wanting to make more of a footing with everything. And I do not know how much time you've had, or you will have, currently have.
Since the since last winter. Projected lifespan was probably about a year and a half from there.
I see.
Which makes sense with the lungs that I currently have. So I believe that projects at least, worst case, around December if I get sick again. And best case scenario would probably be February before I expire. This is, of course, assuming based off of complications like sickness. I'm basically just one respiratory infection away from dying.
If you want, this has just been another personal project. Curiosity. Same thing with other things that I've been doing. This will extend it by around, if our calculations were correct, between September to November of next year, possibly the end of the year. Of course, you would not be getting weaker as your prolonged state. You would be in the same case scenario you are now, possibly slightly better. But once it comes, it'll all hit hard.
What's the hit hard aspect of it? I'm assuming symptoms?
We suspect a week before you cease, symptoms will begin to settle in, and they will progress until your final moments. It'll be the worst case fever you've ever experienced in your life.
Doesn't sound too different than what Charles went through. Interesting. I mean, if the survivability rate of this doesn't jeopardize what I currently already have, then I don't think I'd have really much of a reason to say no.
Yes, no, I guess the better term is prolonging the inevitable, but again, without...
And that's kind of what anyone with my condition, that's just what they do, is prolong the inevitable. But unfortunately, I could just, ask Vito, be as useful as possible and gain favor from Vito and him pay for my next lung transplant, but I don't think my body can take that. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised based off of what I've been experiencing if my lungs are perforated in my chest cavity at this point. But I haven't really seen a doctor recently saying this. I don't really think there's a point anymore. I would have probably have rejected, but ironically enough, I actually just had a conversation with Granger at Mirek. Apparently he's getting a organic shell commissioned from you.
We have not had any talks yet. He had an inquiry about one of his bots. I think her name is
I see.
Gigi. Asked about... I do not remember the details in full, but something similar. If I remember correctly, something of reintroducing the AI life into organic material.
Interesting.
But we have not had any other further talks besides that.
I was under the impression it was going to be for him. I'd be a little bit more surprised if it was for an AI. I feel like you'd feel that you're wasting your talents on that. But
well,
that's
again,
not my business.
the organic shell, this is new, honestly. The other one was way back.
Curiosity.
Was 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. Partial curiosity being the fact that me being appraised of these things, assuming that I might be useful for any medical intervention, but I'm sure you'd tell me when it's
needed, yes.
Needed to know, yeah. Okay. I think hostilities at Mirek are towards the Tigers are probably going to be increasing based off of the increased activity on everyone's end. So my visits there will probably either be armed or sparse. There's not really much of a reason to go there. I know Granger goes there for supplies, some kind of alternative fuel source from the garage that one of the mechanics concocted.
Interesting.
And I guess whatever Charles can manage with supplies and ammunition. The reason why I say this is because not 2-3 minutes entering in from the Garden District teleporter, Lucky confronted Granger and berated him, shouted in his face, saying how he has the audacity to walk in here after what he did. I'm assuming this is in relation to the convoy mission between him and Maz. Apparently the Whispers lost a medic. But yeah, outside of that, I think that's about it on appraisal.
Lucky's always been emotional. The only constant
And
in
a
him.
traitor.
It is true.
I know you and him have some type of kinship, friendship, whatever you want to call it.
Whenever that comes up, that is nothing to do with business. I separate those parts of my lives very heavily. If I didn't trust him, then, or if I didn't have the sort of trust that I do for certain things with him, then I would never be in contact with him. I know how he is.
Well, I certainly don't trust him.
Yes.
I just hope you don't have issues if I end up killing him, if I see him on the field, so.
It is all business. It's all this ever is. I have no...
We say that now. I know you're very calculated individual, but I'm sure you have emotion down there.
Only where it's needed.
Mm.
You know,
Even
if
with
someone
Granger,
touches my things,
I would visit the back line sometimes to check up on things, especially after the Maz episode. And Granger being the cold, calculated person that he is, borderline warmonger, from what I can tell, he certainly seems to be very open arms with what can be perceived as almost an opposing faction, I guess. People who are under Maz. Very unpredictable. Unsavory.
Rugrats. I've always had plans for them. They seem like good test subjects. Insanity has always been a curious mentality that I would have liked to work on. And they are useless.
Definitely sounds like a handful.
So, giving them use has always been the better side of things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why I send people to you still. As much as it pains me to. We don't have the luxury of affording to cater to the people who don't listen to orders and act with malice towards what Vita would say, our family, I guess. Which honestly, I wish I'd hear from him more. Vito's been very silent recently.
Yes.
Was there any other topics that you wanted to bring up?
I did, but it slipped my mind, so...
Understood.
As of now, you are unbound from your shackles.
Well, I appreciate you for your time. And your offer. When are you wanting to facilitate that?
Just set up a time.
I have, I can kind of do it whenever. I kind of did my... I acted. I did my part for now. Because right now it's your show. I have a few people I want to inform before doing this. So, next week? Earliest?
Monday or Tuesday.
Probably Monday.
Very well. It just came back to me as well, my other inquiry. There is a... what would you call it? A rehabilitation center that I have for the more or less disfigured experiments. They are still people.
Is that in Market or is that in D0?
It is here.
Location?
In D0.
I see.
If you would like to volunteer, I guess, around there every now and then.
I'm not opposed to it.
Those people aren't soldiers. They're just people. And I have no use for them anymore.
I think out of everyone here, I might be best suited for it.
Yes.
I guess this could be my proxy payment for your efforts on helping me. So, I'll accept. I quit my job a long while ago, probably 4 months ago, at the Oregon Distribution Center. So,
I see.
But I still have a lot of other faction areas to juggle. With the hyenas, with obviously our own faction. I don't have to babysit Maz anymore, so that's good. Yeah, I have more time on my plate, so yeah. Maybe it'll make me feel a little bit better about myself with what I do.
Bam.